Alright, welcome back to the Unus Imperium tournament. We've got OLADUSHEK here in the red trunks as the Burgundians on the north side, a nice cavalry civ. And I do hope they've actually got a bonus here on the water as well, but I cannot see one for the life of me. Our Burgundian vineyards is going to mean late game gold generation at least. So perhaps that's why he's picked them. Because in theory he should be quite safe back here on this island. Unless KingStoNe manages to somehow establish a foothold on it, or on the front side of this large island in between them. So we've got KingStoNe here on the lower side. On the Saracens, these guys, I believe, actually do have some direct benefits to their navy. So galley attack speed, they're also good camels as well. Not too sure if there really is. Oh yeah, cheaper market trade as well. That might also be of a big benefit to him, because it's going to mean he can switch up between his resources, whichever he needs more of later on, as he starts to run out. Although it's a really weird island layout, and there's really only two safe schools of fish there. Well, there's actually some deep water fish here for KingStoNe on his island, so he's actually got a really safe dock location here. While OLADUSHEK not really going to be able to dock this. At best he can probably put a mill here, or both, or maybe one right in the center once he chops through all this. But that's sort of unfair for OLADUSHEK here, in that he doesn't get this nice little safe pond himself. It looks like all the relics are situated in the central island. So here on Migration, it's not the island map that we saw in Oso versus Lobo, but it's Migration. It's another one of the island maps. It's a slightly different islands map, as can be seen. Ardashir does not approve. And so here in Unus Imperium, our players have actually nominated the civ, or been nominated to play the civ. I'm not too sure what the process was, but basically they pick a civ, no one else in the tournament can pick that civ, and they can only play that civ all tournament. And so, you know, it's a battle for civ bragging rights really, as to where all the players end up. So they better hope to represent their fictional pixel people well. So players going for docks, it's pretty much a must-have on this map, evidently. So they'll probably get 2 to 4 fishing ships, age up, and then start accumulating a navy. Although in saying that, unlike the island map, which gives you a little bit more gold, a little bit more stone, and some relics, a little more wood, and just more space too, you're probably going to be incentivized to try and get on this central island while you're in feudal, rather than waiting until you're like in castle or imperial. I wonder if humans would be a good pick on this map, because even though they don't really get any navy bonuses, realistically you could take the Migration Island with a town centre quicker than anyone else. And I mean, if you can do that, like plonk it right here, go for a navy here, and your opponent doesn't notice, they could be pretty much fucked. It's not as though the game is really all that generous with early game knowledge on a map like this. You haven't got like a ship to scout with, unless you want to use one or two of your fishing ships. So our players, you know, relatively unaware about the other But you can assume, being migration, you are going to have a fuck-off big island in between you. So I have to wonder whether or not a humans pick on this map would be a really good idea for, you know, being able to contest the central island, you know, with town centers ASAP, basically. Go for that sort of age up at not even 20 vils, even slightly less, that people go for on them. Get that transport ship, get your villagers across, jump straight on either a gold or a stone mine, right next to a clump of wood with the town center. And obviously you don't have a huge amount of food back at home, but I mean you can fish briefly. You try and set yourself up to really push into your opponent early on here. So I do like the fact that KingStoNe's really expanding the docks along this waterfront to maintain a bit of line of sight here. OLADUSHEK sort of doing the same thing as well, I suppose, because these aren't particularly close either. It's both good for the fishing ships, with sort of minimizing the travel time in between all the different schools of fish, and it also means that, yeah, you can patrol your shoreline, potentially sneak warships out that your opponent won't notice, and try and deny any chance of your opponent setting up on your island somehow. As much as the map looks to be slanted towards masses of galleys, you can sometimes, possibly a little bit later on in the game in particular, you know, have a transport ship just drop a handful of infantry or cavalry or even archers just over in your opponent's island and really fuck up their economy and their day. So players will be skirting around the islands on opposite sides. It looks like OLADUSHEK going to hit KingStoNe's economy first here. Actually doubling back slightly there. Here we go. Let's see the villagers. KingStoNe can't see this, bearing in mind. So he's going to go for it. He's actually going to do a quick check on the docks first. He's not even going to focus on the field to begin with. Yeah, he had a chance there to actually pick at one of those villages and didn't take it, which is a bit surprising, because he pulled up there knowing that he could see the villain, it couldn't see him. So I thought he might have been waiting for that second galley, but he just doesn't even take the fight. Weird. Over here, KingStoNe. Oh, sorry, OLADUSHEK. The bigger mass against KingStoNe, so he's going to have to try and pull back, because bearing in mind, KingStoNe kept these guys back, thinking that he might have had to defend here against OLADUSHEK. Yeah, I don't know why OLADUSHEK didn't take that fight there. A bit strange. Did have the opportunity. I mean, yes, KingStoNe did have that ship advantage, but not at first. It was only after, because he fucked around so long there, for lack of a better word. Burgundian's player just trying to protect his fishing ships for now, but it looks like our Saracens player will be able to force him off those deep water fish. The snapper. The fishing ship's starting to be sniped. And now KingStoNe actually going to go for the fight, because I think he did have the slight ship advantage until these guys came in. So now he's trying to micro for his life, but OLADUSHEK, put your hands up, we have you surrounded. Good count of those galleys, so he's going to force his opponent back, but after losing a couple of fishing boats, and so KingStoNe is up by a couple of eco population, which is what you want to be ultimately. That's how you win the, well, that's how you get ahead to win the game. you know, ultimately, strategy games, it's sort of a two-part story of giving yourself the eco advantage over your opponent to get the later game tech to then destroy his shit. It's quite simple, really. Big galley masters for both our players, I think. Even though KingStoNe has the unit count advantage, ignoring these guys, I think OLADUSHEK's got a better health distribution here and missing less health overall. Plus these guys can potentially slow things down long enough for the rest to intercept here. It's a good catch here by OLADUSHEK. His other ships can potentially come in here and help clean up, because he'll definitely have a unit count advantage now, I think. Oh no. Good fighting here by KingStoNe. Oh, looks like KingStoNe's turning things around here, and he's even got reinforcement galleys on the way. So this has been a really solid fight for him so far. It's now 8-2 there on the water, 8-1. So he walks out of there with 7 galleys, or swims out of there with 7 galleys, I should say. And another 2 back here. So players, we're getting to castle age now. Things slowing down a little, but this is going to mean OLADUSHEK's water eco is going to be held up while he tries to get war galleys or fire ships out. In the meantime, it may mean that KingStoNe is ready to start getting on this island. Confused him for one of his clanmates then. How rude of me. But KingStoNe coming out of that with a little bit more water eco, which is always going to be nice. War galleys kicking in for OLADUSHEK, so KingStoNe not going to be able to take any fights here and going to drop a galley. His own war galley upgrade nearly finished. There we go. Another warship falling now. KingStoNe again punishing OLADUSHEK now that he can take the fight with even technology, because bearing in mind Saracens do get that faster galley attack speed. So KingStoNe going to go on the island again. He's trying to take this sort of essentially in the island, sort of a little bit forward towards his opponent as possible. So he can get a forward castle here or here, grab some of this gold off his opponent's side of the island and start really sieging up. While OLADUSHEK trying to mount the navy to break this hold his opponent's been putting on him, so he can also try and get on this island behind it and start getting these outlying resources, because there's still plenty of gold on his island for the time being, on both our players' islands, but they will eventually have to transition here. Especially once they do start getting multiple town centers for that eco pop. Players backing off, KingStoNe especially. Just while he gets some eco tech there, while OLADUSHEK maybe growing quite quickly, training out of multiple docks at the moment. And just denying the potential scout or raid there from his opponent. KingStoNe shipping across more villages though, so he can get a little bit more stone and wood here, potentially get on 3 town center and castles quicker than his opponent. while OLADUSHEK, he is going to ship across himself now, but he is a little bit late to the party. He's housed at the moment, so he's going to need to get that up ASAP so he can get that next villager out. Keep continuing to grow his navy here. So OLADUSHEK's actually going to take this side of the island. So yeah, our players sort of incentivized to try and get on the resources on their opponent's side, because obviously you can pinch them from your opponent, you can try and, you know, springboard from there to your opponent with, you know, take out any of their docks on the shore because you've got trebs, or get your own docks right here, and your own production for a quick ferry across the water. OLADUSHEK gonna grab one of these relics, and there'll be all the rest of them on here as well. Looks like KingStoNe's going to go for the relics and go for a third town centre. OLADUSHEK going to go for his second town centre. It's now putting pressure on KingStoNe's water eco, taking out a couple of the fishing boats. The rest of them all trying to... Actually, I think that might have been it for the fishing boats. KingStoNe hasn't yet opted to go for this inner island. It's simultaneously costing him a bit of space, but it actually means, you know, he's got that to fall back to eventually as well. KingStoNe now aware of OLADUSHEK and his hold on the island. OLADUSHEK, I don't think he's actually seen any of KingStoNe's setup here. It's my island. No, it's my island. So KingStoNe's pinching one of the relics, making sure OLADUSHEK isn't going to have an easy time of getting a hold of them himself. So OLADUSHEK, a slight deficit of the villagers at the moment. He does have an opportunity to grab that relic now, so he'll do so, and he'll be able to try and go for this other relic, but KingStoNe will be able to snatch up 3 relics in total by the looks of things. Mom, how come he gets 3 relics and I've only got 2? Big engagement here, and the concave I thought was suiting OLADUSHEK better, but he actually had less of the galleys in the fight overall there. And this attack speed for the Saracens player is just disgusting. Whoa, so OLADUSHEK really being punished there. You just don't want to fight galley versus galley against Saracens, I don't think. So Combi KingStoNe is 4th town centre, while SWB OLADUSHEK going up to a 3rd. So our Burgundians player in a spot of bother at the moment. KingStoNe going to snatch up that 3rd relic. He's already sent another monk there to grab it, but hasn't actually grabbed it as such. But right now OLADUSHEK will just have to try and get to Imp and break his opponent somehow. Try and get something done on the land here if he can. He's gathering that gold there at the moment. I have to wonder if he should really just be going for the stone for a castle, because I think that might be what KingStoNe's going to opt to do now. So right now our players are going to start running out of gold on their islands, and eventually wood too. So they are really going to want to start making sure they can hold on here. So KingStoNe, a little slow to get his castle up. A lot of idle villagers. Here we go. Who has more villagers on the island here? 15 here for OLADUSHEK, so it looks like it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close, guys. It's neck and fucking neck. It's neck and fucking neck. looks like OLADUSHEK will actually be slightly slower. And players stacking up castles. Really high impact, high APM gameplay we're seeing right here. Villagers being used to help try to bring down the castle now. While OLADUSHEK spamming petards so he can get that instant explosion damage on his opponent's castle. A bit of a fight on the water now, and OLADUSHEK somehow making it work against the Saracens player. I wonder if you're best off killing all the villagers though. But in saying that, KingStoNe does have an impressive vill lead on OLADUSHEK at the moment, so I think at the moment this is actually costing KingStoNe a little bit less. Castilia here now will be able to start working away at some of the vills. He may yet be able to save his town centre from KingStoNe's warrior villages. Players both adding battering rams as well, just to try and speed up the process here. Put a bit more pressure on all these other structures, give the villagers something else to attack. It looks like OLADUSHEK actually pulling ahead here on the damage on the castles. Doing a bit of repairing now as well. The petard on the wrong side there for KingStoNe, so it'll be a while before he can do any damage. So KingStoNe looks like he's gonna lose his castle, but he's gonna throw down another one over here. Just trying to tickle the town centre, and KingStoNe has actually pulled ahead on the water once again. So I've missed that bit of action over here while we've been watching the castles. Apologies guys, that's probably the more enthralling game play. But here we are. KingStoNe attempting to finish the second castle. The first will fall here. He should have his... he's going to focus down the villagers now. And OLADUSHEK, his vill count is really starting to trail. He's down by 34 villagers to his opponent. KingStoNe really starting a farm eco now on that central island. OLADUSHEK not quite able to get his started yet because his town centre's within spitting range of that castle. So is that monastery, so he's eventually going to want to evacuate that relic if he can. In fact, he wasn't able to get a hold of this other relic here by the looks of things. So it counts 2-1 in favour of KingStoNe at the moment. And he hasn't actually picked up this other relic yet. Through all the commotion, he's forgotten to actually grab the other relic back here, which would put him at 3-1 on relics. And he could potentially even steal this one here if he can run the monk around the long side of the island. Take a while, but it'll be worth it. And it will soon be 2-0 for relics. Unless OLADUSHEK can get something done here. It looks like he might be setting up to castle here. He could push KingStoNe off this stone, potentially keep things going over here, but ooh, this is rough for OLADUSHEK. He's not going to be able to get any more wood over on his starting island unless he gets a bit creative, goes for some, forward towers in front of one of these patches of wood. So he will slowly lose some buildings here, and that distant farm will even be a bit of a pain to hold on to. He's actually going to go for a whole bunch of stone gatherers so he can try and go for another castle, maybe even, or maybe even a tower or castles over here. Just towering up here, casting up here in the center. KingStoNe's set to go to Imperial Age though, while I don't know if OLADUSHEK has the resources to get there at the moment because he's committing so much to getting these castles. He's been trailing on eco for quite some time now. He's down to 58 villager pop to KingStoNe's 107, so I think KingStoNe is in a much better spot at the moment. I don't think OLADUSHEK is without a fight yet, but at the moment it is looking very tough because we Treb production. There's a whole bunch of Mamelukes ready to go. OLADUSHEK just has villages at the moment. That one Castilia might be able to get one. Oh, he's not even going to get one of the monks, and I just think that was probably a bad trade no matter what. And GG, Kingston takes the game.